You're not lost. It's an experiment. And it's like, which radio station do you want to tune into? You say, wait, I could be happy right now. If you're lost, do something that you love to do. Go garden, go walk the dog, play with your kid, sing, dance, play an instrument, whatever you love to do, whatever is your gift. It's your God gift. That's how you find yourself. We were given this gift just to bring joy to the world. And when we bring joy to ourselves and the world, that's who we are.
If you ever felt like you lost yourself, you are not alone. Today's conversation is a gentle reminder that healing doesn't always begin by fixing what's broken. Sometimes it begins by remembering who you've always been. What if you are not lost? What if you've simply been moving so fast, carrying so much, doing everything you thought you had to do, that you've stopped hearing yourself? Life has a way of putting us into constant motion, always solving, always achieving, always preparing for what's next. And somewhere along the way, we begin to believe we've lost who we are. But maybe we haven't. Maybe we've just drifted away from the quiet place inside us that has always known the way home. Today's conversation is an invitation to reconnect with that place. Get ready to reclaim your life, discover inspiring stories, practical tools, and the path to true happiness. This is Reclaim Your Life with Irina. Let's begin the journey. Before we begin, I want to thank you for being part of this community. This podcast has grown into something much bigger than I ever imagined, and the conversations you've heard here have now inspired a collaborative book called Reclaim Your Life, The Breaking That Made You New. It launches on July 7, and I'd love for you to celebrate with us inside Facebook Book Launch Community. You'll find the link in the show notes. Now, let's begin today's conversation. Welcome, Swami. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Irina.
You have spent over 50 years bridging ancient wisdom with modern life, helping people reconnect with their body, mind, and deeper truths. So for listeners who have been feeling disconnected, overwhelmed, or like something is missing, this conversation will open a door you may not have considered before. Welcome.
Thank you.
Many women I speak to feel like they're constantly in survival mode, anxious, overwhelmed, disconnected from themselves. From an Ayurvedic perspective, what's really happening in the body and mind when someone lives like this for years?
Well, it's kind of like a fight or flight response. You're always on, or it's even like somebody from the war, a veteran. They're still on duty. They're still securing the perimeter. There's no rest. Life is up and then it's down. It's action and it's rest and recovery. Everything happens. That's not good from a life like that.
Totally, you're so right. And oftentimes we don't even notice. We operate on autopilot until something crashes and burns down. Then we start kind of questioning where are we going, what is happening.
Yeah, what's wrong with me? Because I've been doing everything right. Because our culture, I think it's our culture. It's just keep going. Don't stop. Because if you stop, the momentum stops. And then your business fails or your family fails or whatever. You get exhausted just talking like that. We need that rest. And I'm talking after, all my life, and I still am learning new lessons because the world is changing and new things are happening in the world. So learning how to recognize it's not me who's doing anything. I think that's this morning's realization for me. I realize it from time to time, but it's like, why do I get exhausted doing something that I shouldn't be getting exhausted? Because I think I'm doing it, or I think I have to do it. But if we can get into the flow, so when it's high tide, we're up. When it's low tide, we don't try to get higher. It's not possible. That's where the stress comes from. Enjoy the ride down. Go out for a walk,
Yes.
play a game, grow some flowers or something, pet a dog, ride a horse.
Thank you. You've spent decades doing this in this work, but was there a moment in your own life that made you fully step into this path? A moment where something shifted for you personally?
Yes, a big yes, capital E, capital S, exclamation point. So when I was very little, probably around 6, I started to get dreams at night. This was mid-1960s. So there was no talk, there's no support for anything holistic or spiritual in the country, really. There was no yoga centers in the country. There was no YouTube support. There was no arena here to tell us how to feel better. Maybe you were in another lifetime or something, but not in this incarnation. So I would get dreams at night that I would have, just to shorten the story, people telling me, we're your parents now. And then the next group of people would say, we're your parents now. And that was a recurring dream, Irina, for 5, 6 years. Then the world shifted. We're in Vietnam War. And then the dream was the same message. In the dream, I had just come home from the war as a soldier, and my parents moved. They didn't tell me where they moved in the dream. And then the dream started happening in real life. They were whatever you call that. And I just said, "Oh, I don't want you to die." I don't know how I knew that. I didn't hear it. I didn't see it. It was all black. And my parents, "What are you talking about?" And within the year, they were in a car accident and they passed. So after the initial grieving process, I said, well, wait a second. It's not possible. It's impossible. Nobody could tell you your future. Nobody could talk to you in your dreams, but it happened. So I have to take the impossible because now it's possible. It happened. And there was, I started like watching Star Trek about ESP, and there was a lecture on my campus, on the college campus I was at, about meditation. And everything the guy was saying was like, yes, yes, I've never heard this. And it's like, this is everything, and I was like a dry sponge to water. And so in that moment, everything changed. I changed schools. I went from media to meditation school. I became a meditation and yoga teacher and the rest. So that was the first mega life transition.
Oh, wow. Such a powerful, subtle in a way that when you were a little kid and kind of you had to contradict yourself because you see internally something and your parents say, you listen to us. We are your parents. It took you some time kind of to come to the realization and kind of face it. When you were able to see things in real life, I was like, wait a second, there's something there.
There's something there that nobody's talking about.
Yeah. For someone who feels completely disconnected from themselves right now, where do they even begin? What is one simple practice from Ayurveda that can start bringing them back to themselves?
Wow. Okay. There's so many simple ones. Could give you maybe different ones for the different senses because different people learn differently. So if you learn from hearing, the best thing to do is talk to yourself, talk out loud, sing, hum. The vibration of you is like, wow, that's me. And that's like instant, it can be instant. It was for me when I did that in a moment of who am I? And I had to talk to someone. And as I talk to them, I go, oh, wow. Oh, that's me. It changes everything. And I do want to say that the theme in my life is instant changes. And so I got into this to share instant changes with people. So that's one way. If you're a foodie, I'd say have very simple, avoid white sugar, white bread, white salt, and go to whole grain breads, go to whole cane sugar. And within days, you'll feel better.
Wow, I haven't heard of white salt.
Regular table salt, as opposed to rock salt, Celtic salt, which is a form of white salt, but it's nutritious, or Himalayan rock salt.
So table salt is bad.
The white table salt that you get in the store, yeah, because there's nothing in it. White anything means they've bleached everything out of it. Whole grain bread, white bread is whole grain bread. They took out all the minerals and nutrition, and then they put something back in, but it's man-made or something like that.
Right.
So eating your white food is eating empty. It's eating cardboard, basically. Let's put it that way. And eating whole grains, you're nourishing yourself. You're putting good things in your.
Yes, thank you. A lot of people hear Ayurveda or spiritual healing and feel like it's not for them or it's too complex. How do you make this work practical for someone with a full-time job, kids, and real-life responsibilities?
Yeah, that's a great question. Part of the answer is how badly do you need to heal? If you say, listen, I'm ready for anything, it's still easy, and this is the answer for everybody. You have to, if you want to be a good ball player, you have to be committed to working out and practicing. And you want to be a good student, you got to study. So it's no different if you want a good health or good anything, you have to put in the time and the effort. Now, if you do it with your family, now it's fun. You can create whole wheat burritos and have your kids with you do it. And when you put it on, if you have a flame, it puffs up right in front of your eyes like a softball. Magic, If your kids come home and they're bouncing off the walls, pull out the lavender oil, the essential oil, and put it under their nose. Put it on the light bulb so it's in the house when they come home. I'll tell you a funny story. Back in the day, I was teaching Ayurveda certification programs, and one of the women was saying that her kids, they eat poor. They open up the refrigerator, they just pull out junk. So I gave her a product I made. It was like a one-a-day multivitamin, but it was a one-a-day herbal, and it covered all the key organs, all the key chakras and things like that. And she said she would sneak it into their orange juice in the morning. And after about a week, automatically they opened the refrigerator and started choosing healthier foods naturally. So how much effort is there? Nothing. And then when she told them that I've been putting this in your juice every morning when they wake up, they go, "Mom, did you put the powder in my juice?" They'd come, make sure, don't forget. It's a great, so it's really simple to make you start simple. Just as I said, start with take the white foods away. You'll feel better. That's success. Your body will say more. Your brain will say, "Holy cow, what else can I do?" I had a guy come to me. It was, I dress in orange, and the guy walks in, and he's a neighbor, but he's like a little bit leery. This is a weird place. He says, "Look, I have this," and he mentioned some health condition, whatever, arthritis. He goes, "I just want to talk about that, nothing else." He comes back a week later. He goes, "I feel so good. What else do you do?" No, you just start small, Irina. Everybody just do what you can do. You don't want to get stressed out trying to unstress.
True. How about if somebody is feeling sad or depressed? Do you have a remedy for that?
Of course, it's holistic. It's the original science. There's different reasons. If there's a loss of life purpose, then we talk about that. But usually they're coming in, people generally don't come in because they're depressed. They'll come in because of the side effects of depression. My digestion's off. When we're sad, the research shows that pain feels worse, so I have a pain or whatever. But I've had a few people come in who were clinically depressed. So they told me, and I gave them like nose drops. I put these nose drops in their nose. And one of the ladies says to me, about 3 minutes later, Irina, she says, "Is it possible I'm not depressed anymore?" So they're talking about things that work instantly. So there's that. Then there's aromatherapies. There's a number of aromas that are good for depression. Ylang ylang is one that comes to mind right away. Lavender is a good one, maybe. Lavender, no, there's another. There's a bunch of them, but ylang ylang is the one that popped in my brain. So use it as an essential oil. So like if I want to calm down, I use frankincense and myrrh. So you could use it as an essential oil. You could use it as incense. You could put the oil right on a light bulb and let the heat of the light bulb diffuse it into the air. So I had
That's a great idea.
a client, she was a guidance counselor, and she'd tell me that sometimes the kids come in and they're so angry. So I said, "Well, get some rose oil, put it on the light bulb, and it'll just calm them down." And she came back, she goes, "Works like a charm." It's all natural. How is this possible? How can anything happen like just so naturally like that? Because natural is the real truth of life. And somehow we got off that somewhere along the way. So
I think, Heiko, we trust more in medicine than in natural things that Earth produced, not some chemicals that were added and modified, but the real natural things that are from the earth that are good for us.
absolutely right.
You worked with so many people over the years. What's the biggest internal shift you see happen when someone truly starts healing? Not just physically, but in how they see themselves and their life.
You ask good questions. I have to think. In Ayurveda, 10,000 years ago, whenever it began, one of the precepts they had was most physical conditions are caused by a poor gut biome, right? Now, what modern science only believed that about a decade ago, maybe 2 decades ago. So they were on to something. So when clients come in, they're usually coming in for physical conditions. I give them a food plan that's tailored to who they are. It's very personal. So you might eat cauliflower and love it. If I eat cauliflower, I'll get gas. Why? Because I'm an air person, you're a fire person, or a water person, or whatever. So it's gentle. There's no healing crisis like there is in even holistic medicine, Western holistic medicine. So let's see, where am I going with this now? All right. Ask the question again. I got off on a story track that talked about it.
No, totally. You worked Heiko, with so many people over the years. What one internal shift they were able to see, not just physically, but in how they see themselves.
So they come back after the foods in a week, things are getting better, or they're better. But then I see that there's a stress there that was causing the poor digestion, because from the brain is the vagus nerve, and that runs right down into our digestive process. So the first cause of we have to fix the digestion. That's better, but if we leave it there, the brain will just start it up again, or the herbs and the foods would just be a Band-Aid. So then we get into the aromas, the color therapy, mantras, more emotional healing to balance that. And then when they come back and feeling balanced emotionally, some of them still, there's something off, and it's a spiritual disconnect. And so based on their definition of spirituality, I would help them reconnect. So all three levels: digestive, physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. You mentioned intuitive and healing abilities. Do you believe everyone has that capacity, or is there something only certain people are born with?
Oh, I knew you were going to say that. That's how intuitive I am. Yeah, everybody's intuitive. You know, there's mother's intuition, right? Mothers have that. Men have it too, but they have it more in business. The more successful, there's research out of one of the big business magazines. The more successful you are in business, the more intuitive you are, because you just make decisions. You make the right decision when you need to intuitively. So yeah, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. A lot of people push through the stress for years. Career, family, responsibilities. What does it actually do to the body over time if it doesn't get addressed?
Well, as we were talking about that earlier, everything ages. Oxidative stress. It creates oxidative stress. The antioxidants are diminished, and the oxidative stress, which causes inflammation. Everything in the body, that any illness basically is excess inflammation. So it'll come out in any number of ways for any number of people, but it's not a good way.
We gotta take care of ourselves, our physical needs, emotional needs, because then they will be seen through.
Right. Exactly right.
From your experience, how much of what we carry physically is actually emotional or unresolved experiences? And how do we begin to release that?
Well, yeah, I think ultimately it's all spiritual, and then it filters to emotional, and then it filters to physical. So, but I have to help people from where they are. So if they have arthritis and I start talking spiritual, they'll be out the door before I finish my sentence. Help people from where they are. The biggest, you got to put out the fire. The fire in this case is pain in my wrist. Okay. Here, put this oil on. The pain's gone. Holy cow. What else you got? You know, now we could talk, but you can't tell a person about fixing their house till the fire's put out of the house. So
Totally, yeah. Meet people where they're at. Even when people know they need to slow down or take care of themselves, they don't. Why do you think people resist their own healing?
man, I mean, I think it's everybody. I'm talking to you as somebody who's been in the business, but it's me too. It's a human nature. And we always have life, it always gives us new challenges. So we take the lessons we learned and then we have to integrate it and apply it to the next level. It's like if life is a spiral, you ever hear or you ever say, I feel like I'm back at square one, right? We are, but we're just with more experience, with more wisdom. And so when we get back to square one at a higher dimension, then we have to integrate and remember and learn those lessons. So because we're all born with gifts, and we usually use those gifts and we avoid the areas we haven't learned about yet, at least in the 40s, 30s, 40s, 50s. At a certain point, even our gifts become the opposite of a gift if we abuse it. If we have a gift to make money in business or to serve people as holistic people, as healers, and we don't have a gift in socializing, well, we could become workaholics and work and work and work and help people and help people and help people. But that our part of our life is shrinking, that social part, our heart part. The heart is there to serve, but it's not the heart that serves us and serves our friends and family. That's shrinking. And at a certain point, the service, the gift we have, becomes a liability. And it's only when push comes to shove that people use it, because I'm going to stay with my strengths. I'm going to stay with I don't want to look bad. I don't want to have to learn new things. But there's a wonderful saying, life happens for us, not to us. So if we can, life is happening so fast now, Irina, you probably know, like what used to happen here, we'd go up the wave and then a year later we would crash. And then a year later we'd be up again. And the lessons are hard to learn, but now it's like up today, down tomorrow, up the next day. It's like, oh yeah. So we could put together our learning processes and work out the karma much more quickly these days. You find that?
Yeah, I totally notice how quickly the time passes. Before it was kind of slow when I was younger, when you're in college or in school, you're studying for this test, for this exam, and it's so long before it comes. And now I turn around and another Friday is gone and another year is gone. The time we feel passes so swiftly now. And with advent of technology and constant bias for our attention, it's even more. So it's I call so important to slow down, to kind of pause, take notice, become present to the moment, to absorb what your life, what your day is about. Because in the end of the day, we might go through the whole day and we don't even feel like we did anything because it was so fast, like a fly flying through and like nothing happened.
Yeah.
We gotta make the little pauses throughout to sample, to savor in the moment,
It's
to become present to the experience so that we can something to remember when the day is gone.
Yeah, it's that's such a great point because at this point, if the day is gonna zip by, you have 2 choices: do something natural and good for you, or do something stressful for you, and then the day's gone, you know? So, I think it's probably gonna make it easier for people when they realize that if I just start the day on a positive, and I'm gonna look for the positive in the day, I'm gonna do everything I can for that, you start to enjoy the day. You go, "Wow," you know? And you go to sleep at night, you go, I'm pretty proud of myself today. You know, I exercised, I ate right, I got some work done, I didn't overwork, I socialized. All right, it's a good day. And then that muscle memory happens. 21 days, new neural pathways happen.
Yes, yeah. We gotta unlearn our bad programming,
Yeah,
the years of bad programming, and I believe we can all change if we have the desire to change. Like you said, you're in that fast change process because the only thing constant in life is
that's
change.
it.
And the sooner we accept that or agree with that, I think the easier it will be to see the change and to be open to what I can learn here instead of, wow, this thing happened and the rest is like downfall from here.
Right, right. I made a mistake. That's it. I can't change it. I'm a victim. Victim is really what I think the word you're saying. I'm either a hero, my own hero, or I've give, given the reins over to somebody else. That's not fun.
You worked with so many clients. What does it actually take for the body to feel safe again after years of stress or emotional overwhelm?
Well, again, maybe it's just me and the gift I've been given, but people feel better within 3 days usually. I've had people with diabetes call me 3 days later and say, "My sugar levels are down," or "Arthritis pain is gone." There are some conditions that are more serious, that are more chronic, and they do take longer. But, I mean, just I had one woman leave the shop, and as she was leaving the hour session for the first time, she said, "I already feel better." She didn't even start the foods or the herbs or anything. So you just spend time giving people a positive experience. You listen, people just are heard. That's a whole simple thing too, just hear people. We were once a culture where everybody talked, you know, the family, the extended family, somebody was always there to hear your emotional makeup, you know? And now nobody has time, so they have to go see a therapist to talk to somebody. Not that they're not qualified, but there could be a balance. A lot of that wouldn't need to be there if we're connected to ourselves. We share our emotions with our family.
Yeah, you're so right. Sometimes it's just taking and listening and just being present to the conversation, to the person, to give them this gift of presence because oftentimes you speak to somebody, they're not even there. They're thinking about 25 gazillion things
Yeah.
outside.
And you don't have to have an answer. You just have to feel, you know, hear them, feel them, you know, I hear you. I'm sorry you're going through that, you know. And then once they calm down, hopefully, if you have the intention they're going to discover the benefit of what they just went through, they may actually either discover it or ask you for advice. And then you could say, well, you see now that what did you learn from that? What good thing do you? I'll ask you, I'm sure you've experienced if something bad happens and then a day or a week or a month later is like, well, that was a blessing in disguise.
Yes,
So,
totally. That's how this podcast started.
oh, I want to hear that story.
Well, it was actually the second podcast, but the first was the breakup of and becoming a single parent of a newborn and a 5-year-old. And didn't know how to continue, how to move forward. But through that difficult process, I discovered more about myself, things and gifts I didn't know I had. A recovering introvert here, having 2 podcasts, written 7 books, speaking with people like I would never have met you if I continued the way I was living before.
Right.
So many blessings in disguise.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, just same thing. I wouldn't wish anybody lose their parents. I wouldn't wish divorce on anybody. But in my case, it was probably the only thing that woke me up enough to be open to this. In Chinese astrology, I told you I'm a horse, and horses are very stubborn.
Guilty.
They need that crack open, and I do anyway. I'll speak for myself. I do, but not as much. I try to listen more because you don't have a choice sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. If someone listening feels like they've lost themselves somewhere along the way, what would you want them to remember right now?
You're not lost. It's an experiment. See, so this, do I have permission to get a little heady or do we just stick to?
Go
Okay.
ahead.
So we talk about past, present, and future. In the past, I knew myself. I thought I knew myself. Now I'm lost and I don't know where to go in the future. That time is illusion. Time and space is an illusion. And physics tells us that. And because things are happening so quickly, they're all happening at almost in the same moment. You're up, a minute later, you're down, a little later, you're up. You learned a lesson and you're leveled out again. So was that a week ago today and next month? No, it's basically, it's in arm's reach. So I'm lost. I'm found. I found a benefit and I'm found. They're all there. So it's like, which radio station do you want to tune into? You've got 3 choices. And you say, well, wait, I could be happy right now. How can I be happy? I'm not. But you're choosing to be not happy. Try it. Just try it and get that muscle going. Exercise that muscle of, I'm going to turn the knob to 11. This is a reference to an old movie. And as it starts to happen, even if you feel, I've tested this on people and they say, well, I feel a little better. I said, well, that's a start, isn't it?
Yeah.
So if you're lost, do something that you love to do. Go garden, go walk the dog, play with your kid, watch some comedy, watch the dry bar comedy if you like that, or any comedy that you like. Sing, dance, play an instrument, whatever you love to do, whatever is your gift, it's your God gift. That's how you find yourself because we were given this gift just to bring joy to the world, And when we bring joy to ourselves and the world, that's who we are. The spirit,
Very
it's
well
the
said.
joy, the spirit of joy. That's who we are.
Yes, yes. And I love that analogy of a radio station or like TV. At the same time, there is a movie on one channel and there is a opera on another, and then there is something else happening on the third one. And all we got to do is change the dial to get into that reality,
There's a
to see
soap
the
opera,
signal.
the soap operas, I don't know if they're still on TV, but they're so sad, I don't want to be sad. Turn the channel, but I'm so sad. Turn the channel. Now you're watching a comedy show. It's like, oh, this is so great.
Our life, how you call it, theater, and we are all actors in a play called life, and we get to be our own judge, our own executioner, our own performer, and our own cheerleader if we choose to be. And like you said, we get to choose how we want to feel.
Do we?
Because life will happen, things will happen,
Life will happen.
and it's up to us to decide.
How do we decide? How do we respond to what happened? Something bad happened, or do we say, oh, it's my fault, I'm no good, or life always messes up, or to say, oh, great, here comes a new lesson for me. Any moment now, I'm going to have a breakthrough because every time things crash, the door opens and then you go up the escalator again.
Yeah, totally. Thank you. What inspired you to write your book, the Ayurveda Encyclopedia?
I was certifying people to practice Ayurveda. And one of the students was a doctor. And he said, oh, you should write a book on Ayurveda. Or you should write a book, something. And I wrote a book about 700 pages. And it was just sort of like fluff. So I literally ripped it up and threw it away and started over. And I said, let me just stick to the facts. I think you said you do fiction, and I do the opposite of fiction. I do just the facts. And 6 years it took me to write that book, but it was a wonderful experience.
Awesome. If people would like to get your book, where would they go?
Amazon, any country Amazon is, you could get it there. Absolutely.
Right. Awesome. Is there anything I haven't asked that you would like to share?
Okay, let me ask Spirit if there's something they want to say. Yes, okay. So again, to take this to a different frequency, because we've talked mostly 3D, emotional, we've talked spiritual, but these days I feel my experience and you'll hear this a lot on the internet, is we're coming into we're having the opportunity of creating a new earth, or the new earth is here, and those who choose it can be there. What does the new earth mean? Some people, it means heaven on earth, where everything is fine, where there's no more worries and wars that upset us. But it's a choice. We're not saying those things won't be here, but if you put your mind on raising your kids right, feeding them well, taking them to concerts and nourishing them and growing your own life, then that's your heaven. You're choosing the S as the positive and the harmonious instead of hell. You're choosing heaven instead of hell. That's a simple way to put it. And to get into that state, we have so much stuff in us: belief systems, undigested food toxins, emotional baggage. There's so much stuff in us from our childhood, from our culture, from our religion, from our past lives even, and it's got to come out. And we want it out. We say, help me. And then it starts to come out and go, oh no, what's wrong with me? I think in the last week, myself included, I felt like a giant frequency hit us, and tons of stuff is coming out. People I'm talking to is like, haven't been this sick since COVID. This other guy had a heart scare, but he's okay. So there's a gal on the internet. She's like 30, and she's saying, she was talking about this, and she said, I was losing my memory. I was having pains. She says, if I was older, I think something's wrong with me, but I'm young enough to know that there's no real serious issues. So I'm sharing that idea because if you want to choose a life of joy, if you want to step into, to me, it's like a rock in a hard place. The rock is the negatives that are on this planet and the feelings that we choose. The other is, how do you get in the door to the higher frequencies, the sixth dimension, the fifth dimension, whatever that, however you people talk about that. And the way to do that is to say, like, you tried new things and you would not have had the experiences that you're loving having right now. So say yes. And after you say yes, then there might be a purge. Says, oh, okay, you want to climb to that mountain. We're going to have to take some stuff out of your backpack. The air's too refined up there. So you want to get to a lighter place, we're going to have to get this stuff out of your digestive system. We're going to have to get this emotional baggage off of your back, things like that. So initially it's just words, Irina, but because things are happening so quickly now, very quickly you'll see, all right, I didn't have a dark night of the soul. I had a dark hour of the soul. And now suddenly I'm on the other side of it. So you'll see for yourself, like a thought may be, nothing ever works out for me, And then my brain will go, no, wait a second. Look at all the things that have been working out for you. You can't say that anymore. Cool. So I'm a very practical person. Try it out, work with it, be gentle with yourself. Some days you're down. You need to rest. Absolutely. Take that rest. Shut things off. Some days I'm on interviews like this for all day. I'll go out to the garden afterwards and play with my vegetables and till the soil and forget everything other than what's earthly.
Yeah, yeah, you're so right. I could get also frazzled if I have too many meetings in a day. So
Yeah.
we gotta take care of ourselves, and we are not perfect. When we are tired, we gotta listen to our body and tend to it, like you tilling the soil, till your body, take rest. You don't need to always, push through and work hard. You need to slow down. So I love that. What is your superpower if you had to pick one?
My heart. It's very funny that my love for people, that I want to help people. I say it's ironic because that's the one thing that I've sort of ignored in my life, and partly because the loss of my parents, and it was way too painful to hang around with people that I knew at that time. It just overwhelming pain, and so I would go off but I went off into meditation and not drinking or something like that, and now now it's like coming full circle in a way. I just was teaching a course with my colleague about the chakras and how to feel less anxious, more calm, and more energy. And when we got to the fifth chakra, all of us just felt a big shift, such a big shift. I used to teach a course in healing through the heart. Just put your hand on your heart so heart is, I think, everything, all the fancy words, enlightenment and spirituality. If your heart, just pray for a good heart, Of course, it's going to have to clear stuff out, but that's okay. It's going out. You go, oh my God, I still have that in me. I thought I cleared that out. It's okay. Just do things that you love to do with people you love to do. The more connected your heart is to others. I feel that honestly, I feel that's probably everybody's core superpower. They'll have a secondary power like singing or whatever career they're healing. But what's driving, what's feeding that external superpower is our heart superpower. It's coming. I'm thinking of that as I'm talking about it.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Have so much wisdom. Thank you for the work that you're doing. If people would like to connect and learn more about you, where would they go?
I have a website called Orange Cowboy. Orange like the color, cowboy like the hat. OrangeCowboy.com.
Thank you.
Thank you
We'll
so much,
include
Rena.
everything.
It's an honor, pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
One thing I'll be taking away from today's conversation is this simple reminder. Maybe healing isn't about searching for who we've become. Maybe it's about remembering who we've always been. If today's episode encouraged you, please share it with someone who might need this reminder. And if you're ready to continue your own journey, I'd love for you to join our Reclaim Your Life book launch community on Facebook as we celebrate the release of my new book on July 7. You'll find all the links in the show notes. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to follow the podcast and leave a review. It truly helps more people discover these messages of hope and healing. Until next time, take a deep breath, trust your inner wisdom, and remember, you are never too far away to reclaim your life.